What's up, everybody? It is weekly roundup time again. This time definitely have a lot more CDs than the previous one, because if you did watch my last collection update video, there was quite a bit of CDs that were added to the collection. So I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. Starting off with some of those new ones. We have the self-titled from Abath, who was formerly in Immortal. I don't know if this was the debut necessarily or not. This is on Seasons of Mist, and let's see, I don't have a year I can see on here. Mixed in 2015, September 2015, so it's probably either early 2015 or late 2015 or early 2016 when that came out. Aerosmith, big ones. Like I've said before in the past, I'm not big on compilation like greatest hits albums or anything like that. But this has like 3 songs that aren't on any studio album. You've got Walk on Water, Blind Man, and Deuces Are Wild. Walk on Water and Blind Man were new recordings at the time, and Deuces Are Wild was on the Beavis and Butthead Experience soundtrack. Another one of those new ones, Dio, Lock Up the Wolves from 1990. Fantastic album, a very underrated album in my opinion. Then we had the first Death Clock album, the Death album. This one doesn't have the coffee jingle, but it does have the birthday, death day song, which I think is pretty hilarious. Most of the songs on here are pretty hilarious. And none other than Gene Hoglan did the drumming on it. This next one, I hope I pronounce this right, Pleiadius Dust by Gorguts. Also a Seasons of Mist release. So, unlike a lot of their other albums, this is more in the vein of like a Death Doom. So it's one track that has like a bunch of different parts to it. But when you put it in the CD player, it's going to show as only one track on the album. So it's like a continuous flow. But really good, definitely interesting. But if you like the kind of ambient Death Doom stuff, you'll like this one. And then Lamb of God, Wrath. Just really good groove metal from these guys. Set to Fail's a really good song on here. Probably would be my favorite song on here. Then with an all-around that I've had for a little while, Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime. Fantastic album. Probably don't need to say a lot about that one. The next few are new additions. Death, Individual Thought Patterns, fantastic. This also I didn't realize until I was looking at the back of the case when I was listening to it the other night. This also has a bonus CD, Live in Germany from 1993. So it looks like it has we got Leprosy, Suicide Machine, Living Monstrosity, Overactive Imagination, Flattening of Emotions Within the Mind, In Human Form, Like a Comprehension, Trapped in a Corner, and Zombie Ritual. And then there's a studio outtake cover of The Exorcist. And the first Ronnie James Dio album with Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell, absolute classic. And some Arch Enemy with Will to Power, which was not only the first one for Alyssa White Blues, but it was also the first album that Jeff Loomis from Nevermore was on. Then we got Goat Horde, Carving Out the Eyes of God, fantastic, kind of groovy black and death metal. Another favorite of mine, Ozzy, No Rest for the Wicked, perfect album. And then finish it off with probably another kind of perfect album because there's no bad tracks on this. Kiss Lick It Up. And then we go into the records. My go-to ever since I've ever heard this album, Seasons in the Abyss, Slayer. My favorite Slayer album. And some death metal, Abysmal Dawn with Phylogenesis. Fantastic piece of death metal. Then we got some Soulfly with Savages. Metal Church, The Dark. Fantastic album, my favorite from them. A lot of go-tos in here. Sepultura, Beneath the Remains. Excellent album. A not very talked about album for this band, Blood In, Blood Out. The first album that Exodus did when they brought back for a third time vocalist Steve Zetro Souza. I think I actually might like this a little bit more than Persona Non Grata. And then the debut from Kerry King's solo band, From Hell I Rise. I don't think he could have tapped a more perfect vocalist for what he did with Mark from Death Angel. You know, a lot of people have complained it sounds just like Slayer. It's Slayer 2.0, and he told you that's what it was going to be. He never wanted Slayer to go away, so you knew you were going to get something in that vein. And quite possibly, I think it's probably better than the last, like, 3 Slayer albums, to be honest. Then some Siege of Power with Warning Blast. Some, I was trying to find where these guys are from, and I didn't see it anywhere online. But they have a very 90s Swedish death metal sound, not the melodic death metal sound, but like the Grave and Entombed and, you know, bands like that. That's kind of what they really remind me of. I don't think they're a Swedish band. Then, let's see. Next couple, definitely tried and trues. Overkill, Horoscope. Absolutely lovely album. Can you say that about a metal album? A lovely album? Another go-to, King Diamond, Them. In fact, the reason I put this on was because I think it's the beginning to either Bare Bones or Horoscope that has that little piano intro in it, and my wife thought, you know, reminded her of this album by King Diamond, so I threw it on after that because of that. And then the last thing that I threw on Monday night, Devouring Morality from Skeletal Remains. I believe they're an American death metal band. This is off Dark Descent Records, which if you have the Metalhead box subscription, a lot of their bands are off that label. This didn't come with that. I think I bought this in Charleston. But fantastic album. I have 2 from them. Yeah, Monster Music in Charleston is where I bought it. This came out, I have their latest one, Fragments of the Ageless, which is a fantastic album. They're a 3-piece, but they really don't sound like a 3-piece, to be honest. But really good. Have an old school death metal sound. Depending on which record you listen to, they can sound anywhere from like Obituary or Morbid Angel, just that old school early 90s to mid 90s death metal sound. So that's all for this roundup. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, got inspired to listen to something you never listened to, or, you know, listen to something you haven't listened to in a while. But anyway, thank you and God bless.